Hello guys, it's Football here with John Montez and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing fine. I am also doing fine, and today we are back after a long week, a long international break. I also took a break for some days. It's also good to take a break. So welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing fine. I am also doing fine. And today we want to look ahead into Manchester City versus Arsenal this coming weekend on Sunday. This is really interesting game, which is game week 30. So we are going to look ahead into that. Also, we are going to look ahead into game week 30 prediction. We are going to try to predict this game week 30, which we are really miss football, but we really have a good and entertaining weekend coming up. So make sure smash a like on the video. Don't forget to click the subscription button. Don't forget to click that notification bell, so each and every time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. To our subscribers, we want to say thank you so much for your continuous support. Without you, this channel could not be able to reach where we are at the moment. So thank you so much for your continuous support, and we are not taking it for granted. So let's just dive directly into it. What do you guys think of game week 30, and which our main focus will be Manchester City versus Arsenal on Sunday, exactly at 6:30. It will be 6:30, Manchester City versus Arsenal. This is really interesting game. If you look, especially with the current Premier League table, current situation in Premier League, Arsenal are fighting for something, Manchester City are also fighting for something. If you look into different angles, this game is going to give you the perfect view of calling the best season for Arsenal, also the best season for Manchester City, because likely right now Manchester City are only in they're now in how many competitions? They're in Premier League contenders, their Champions League. They hope they can win Champions League, and also they hope they can win FA Cup. But if you look at the current situation, if you compare the current situation where Arsenal are and we compare where Manchester City are, these are two different scenario. The previous season, Manchester City were only competing in Premier League with Arsenal, which by this stage, Arsenal were just giving them that headache, but they had a lot of games to go on. So it was this league this season is giving it a different taste, because you have Arsenal you are competing with, you have Liverpool you are competing with, and a lot of games to be played, a lot of critical games to be played. Because if you look the other side on the FA Cup, they have just been given Chelsea, which is also not a good. It's a tough game. You cannot think of Manchester City winning that. You have Champions League, they have been drawn with Real Madrid, which is also a tough game for them. So it's totally tough for Manchester City side. And also if you look on the other side of Arsenal, they're in Champions League, the expectation of their fans are high, and this game can prove something, because they want to continue to be on top of the table as long as they can, because they know they have a chance. They have the highest chance of winning Premier League. I'm just saying they have the highest chance, or my own view, I think they have the highest chance of winning Premier League. So it's really tough game, and it's a really game that is going to call of big orders, and it's going to shape the dynamic of Premier League, and it's going to determine. I feel like this game can determine who is going to win the Premier League, but it's too early, because if you look, Liverpool games are also really interesting one. So we want to look ahead into this. If you look the current squad for Liverpool and for Manchester City, and you look the current squad for Arsenal, if you look the available players for Manchester City on that game, they will have unavailable players. Let's start with unavailable players for Manchester City. Stones is out, and Walker. Those are the two key players that Pep today said in the Conference League they're not going to be available into this game. But I don't think Manchester City, that one can stop them from winning this game. If Manchester City decide to win this game, because if you look the other side, Ikanji is back, which can give them a boost. That one, you can feel that Ikanji can fill that position for Walker if Walker is not available. But they have players to do that. They have players to perform into that Walker's role, because if you look, that Walker's role is where the threat is. Stones has been missing a lot of games this season, so I don't think they will feel that gap. They can feel the gap for Stone, but they can feel the gap for Walker, which it's going to be tough for Manchester City to consume. In the midfield, De Bruyne is back, which is a good news for Manchester City, and also some bad news for Arsenal because we all know the history between Kevin De Bruyne and Kevin De Bruyne and Arsenal. It hasn't been good for on Arsenal side. So this is really interesting game. If you look the other side for Arsenal, they're not sure of Martinelli will be if Martinelli will be playing. They're not sure of Saka, but I think that one is a mind game for Arteta. If Saka left early, the world in the international games, he didn't play international games, and he went. That one means it's available. I think it's available for selection, and I think Arteta is just using that as a mind game to try to see the reaction of Manchester City. If that one can influence the way Pep is going to pick his team, it's going to be really a tough game, both sides. And if you look directly into the Premier League table, there's a lot which this game is going to play because currently Arsenal are 64 points and Liverpool are 64 points. They all Manchester City are 63 points. That is a difference of 1 point. That one means on Sunday, the whole week, if Manchester City win this, they will be on top of Arsenal with a margin of 2 points. And if you look on the other side, Manchester Liverpool is also interesting. Have a very interesting game. We are going to talk about that prediction in a moment. So this game brings a very tough question, and it's going to be if I was to go to how will this one game will be determined, I will just say by individual mistakes should be reduced. If you look, Arsenal has to score as more goals as possible because in the last three, I read somewhere in the last three, is it in the last how many games, away games, Arsenal have already scored 17 goals and they are going to meet Manchester City, who doesn't really concede a lot of goals. I don't think that defense of Manchester City will leave gap for Arsenal to try to expose them. I don't think Arsenal, they have a beautiful game. They play really, they like dominating game. I don't think Arsenal are good in counter-attack. Manchester City are good on counter-attack, but if you look these two teams, they kind of play a similar game, which is control the game, have more position, ball position, and try to expose the opponent defense, and try to make more chances as possible. If you look Arsenal last season and you look Arsenal this season are really ruthless in scoring goals. And if you look Manchester City last season, Manchester City were ruthless scoring goals last season, but they are not ruthless scoring goals this season. So tomorrow it will be about individual brilliances. That is on Sunday. I mean, it will be about individual brilliances between Manchester City and Arsenal. Whoever will win the game, it will be about individual brilliances. How this individual performance, this is a time for individual performance. This is a time for people like Saka to shine up. This is if Saka will be available. This is a time for like people like De Bruyne to determine the game. This is a time for like Haaland to determine the game. This is a time for like Foden to determine the game. So it's going to be involving on individual performance. That is how I feel it. This is how I feel this game can be won. Because if you look comparingly, if you look Manchester City squad, the squad that might be facing Arsenal. Let's say, for example, Henderson. If Henderson is available to start, I think he will be available to start according to Pep. If Henderson will be available, that is good news for them. Henderson might start there. But if the defense, maybe Walker is missing, because Walker is the only player we expected to miss, and the most important player for Manchester City to miss into that game, I think, is Walker. But he has a replacement for that. I don't think defensively Manchester City are troubled. But those injuries that are affecting Manchester City, I don't think they are the main thing. Because if you look the way Manchester City win their game, they win their games through the midfield, and they have De Bruyne back, they have Rodri, they have Silva, they have Alvarez, they have Doku, because Grealish also has been out, but his replacement is there. They have Doku to replace Grealish, they have Alvarez to replace Grealish, they have Foden. So it will depend with also the way Pep will think about this game, because we know always Pep is a mastermind. He always know how to capture this moment. He always know how to manage his game. It's going to be about individual brilliances. For Arsenal to win this game is also going to depend on how good Arsenal are in executing their chances, because we can say Arsenal, in the if you look the goals they've scored, those many goals they've scored, they have a good goal difference, by the way. If you look those games, they haven't have they haven't faced a team with the proper defense that we can say they can break them easily. To break Manchester City defense is not like breaking uh, Brighton, or at least like breaking Newcastle defense. This one are very people who understand the game. These are the good players, are world class players, by the way. And to break them is going to take a lot of effort, and it's going to take a lot of patience. In football, I always believe in patience, and if you look at Arsenal, they're really, really patient with the ball, and they're really, really good in maintaining that position. So they're going to give Manchester City hard time. That one I'm 100% sure. But with the Etihad, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a hell. It's going to be a problem to break Manchester City Etihad. So I'm not betting. I'm not betting on Arsenal, but I see a probability of a draw into this game. Let me just be honest. If you just do the prediction onto that game, I see a probability of a draw into that game. Let me hear your thoughts on the comment section. What you guys think about this game? It's really, really a massive game. It's a really, really a massive game, and it's going to shape the dynamic of the Premier League table, and it's going to determine really if Arsenal. I think the pressure is on Arsenal, because if they win this game, they have a probability of winning the league. On the other side, Manchester City also, if they win this game, they also have a probability of winning the league or going with two cups. Arsenal have to play this game with a final minded game, because they have to approach this game as a final minded game, because they there's a there's a chance they can win Champions League, but there is a very big chance of winning Premier League than Champions League, because they are out of two cups. But for them to call this in a successive season, they have to win between Champions League and Premier League. So it's at them to decide. If they really, really want to win Premier League, they have to make sure they beat Manchester City tomorrow. They have to make sure they put their best performance and even at least live up to the draw. Because if you look at the number of games remaining, they're limited around. If I think 10 games, they're limited games. So around 8, if I'm not wrong. So they have to make sure they win this game if they really, really want to be in goal. Because if Manchester City pass them, it's going to be tough for them to come back, and it's going to be tough for them because they have to. If just in case they beat Bayern Munich in Champions League, they have to beat again Manchester City. So they have to just try their best. They have to try their best into this tomorrow. On Sunday's game, they have to do their best, and they have to prove us wrong. They have to prove the football world that they are capable of challenging for trophies. They are capable of challenging for big things. So it's upon Arsenal how they're going to approach this game. It's upon Arteta, what is he going to tell this team that they are not being taught. This is the moment that they have to sacrifice themselves. This is the moment they have to make sure they put their best performance. This is the type of game that Arsenal has to make sure they put up the performance. Let me be honest with you. I would love to see Arsenal or Liverpool winning their league, apart from Manchester City winning it. But Manchester City, we just know Manchester City. They're ruthless if they decide to become ruthless. Pep is ruthless when they decide to become ruthless. This game is going to play a huge role, and Arsenal has to make sure they are well prepared into this. It's tough. Let's see what will happen on Sunday. Let me see down on the comment section what you guys think about this game. What is your prediction into this game? But for me, my prediction is a draw. I think it would be a draw with a 0-0 goal. Probably will be a 0-0 goal. Let's just jump. Let me jump direct into Premier League Game Week 30 prediction. The first game we have tomorrow, early kickoff, it will be between Newcastle and West Ham. This is a really interesting game. I wish I could watch this game live. Newcastle versus West Ham, interestingly. This one game can end into I see Newcastle coming up into this. It's a tough one. At home. A lot of injuries also facing Newcastle. I think a draw can work into this. I believe a draw can work into this. Chelsea versus Burnley. Chelsea has to find their way in. Chelsea have to find their way out into the game, and they have to try to get win. So I go with Chelsea into this. I'm not certain between Chelsea, because say Chelsea sometimes can surprise you. Burnley can take points away from Chelsea. But if Chelsea want to have, maybe, I'm not saying they can't have the best season this season. They can't have the best season now. It's late for that. I don't know what they call the best season. I don't know what Chelsea called the best season for them this season. So Burnley and Chelsea, I feel Chelsea has to win this. Sheffield United versus Fulham. This is really interesting game. Fulham versus Sheffield United. I will go with Fulham. I'll go with Fulham red-handed. I will go with Fulham into this. Nottingham Forest versus Crystal Palace. Interesting one. Interesting game and tough game. A physical game. I believe this is a physical game and it's going to be more defensive. If you look, Newcastle are more defensive and also Nottingham Forest are more defensive. Nottingham Forest trying to stay up, and I think a draw might work between these two. A draw might work. On that one is tomorrow. The next game is Bournemouth versus Everton. Everton fighting relegation. Bournemouth are also good, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one to predict, and it's more of a level game. So I think I will go with Bournemouth. I will go with Bournemouth at home. Tottenham versus Luton. Tottenham, after disappointing after dropping point the last game before international break. So I think Tottenham will find a way of bouncing back into this. Luton are good at home, but I don't think they are good away. They haven't got a good result away from home. So I expect Tottenham to win this. The next one is Aston Villa versus Wolves. Really interesting one. Wolves versus Aston Villa. This one is going to be tough. This is going to be a tough one. I think I drew Aston Villa. Let me just be honest. I do not love Aston Villa to win this one for the sake of Manchester United, but I feel Aston Villa will win this one. Brentford versus Manchester United. Tough one. But Manchester City injury concern, I think it's only Casemiro, which I might not be expecting to be available for this game. But Manchester United have a good squad. Brentford haven't gotten results. Good result of late. Of course, we know the danger of Ivan Toney. He can execute a lot of goals. So I think Manchester United will win this. I feel Manchester United will win this. Liverpool versus Brighton. I don't feel Liverpool is losing anytime soon into this. So I will go with Liverpool into that. Manchester City versus Arsenal, because that's the last game. I've just talked about it. It will be a draw. I expect it to be a draw. I feel that this game can end a draw. So make sure to smash a like on the video. I think I should come with a comprehensive analysis about the Liverpool managerial position. That is what I think that will be my next video. So make sure to smash a like on the video. Don't forget to click that subscription button. Don't forget to click that notification bell, so each and every time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. To our subscribers, I want to say thank you so much for your continuous support. Without you, we could not be able to reach where we are at the moment. So until we do the next one, enjoy. Bye bye. See you.